Here we are going into the 2024-2025 NBA season, and the Houston Rockets are in that final stage of the rebuilding process where they're going to become competitive. And if I'm being honest, they were competitive last season, but I think they're going to become even more competitive this year and find themselves in the Western Conference playoffs. And this rebuilding process started around 2020 for the Houston Rockets when James Harden forced his way to the Brooklyn Nets. They were forced to go into rebuilding mode, and over the last few years they've accumulated some great talent throughout the NBA draft. We look at guys like Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, who could potentially be all-stars this season. I think they have superstar potential as well. They've drafted guys like Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Reed Shepard. The list goes on and on. The Houston Rockets have so much young talent. But whenever I'll tune into the Houston Rockets, whether it's watching highlights, watching them live, making videos, and talking about them, one player that just really jumps out to me that does not get enough recognition, and if I'm being honest, he's gotten a lot more recognition over this summer, and that player is the number 4 overall pick from the 2023 NBA draft, Thompson. I think he has superstar written all over him, and one of my biggest reasons for saying that, I think as of right now, for a player as talented as him, I think he's in a terrific situation. I think he has a great head coach in Ime Udoka, who has shown the ability to take players and elevate them. Let's just look at what he did with the Boston Celtics, and I know the Boston Celtics were they always had a talented roster, but that year in 2022, Coach Ime Udoka, his first year there, he was able to unlock that team and make them look like a completely different ball club, and he paved the way for Coach Joe Mazzulla winning that championship ring. But nonetheless, I think he has a great head coach, a great mentor in Ime Udoka, and then the situation that he's in as far as the personnel around him is nothing more that you can ask for. And I think all the time we listen to these podcasts nowadays and we listen to these interviews, we always talk about players talking about who their vet was coming into the league. Now, I don't know if Fred VanVleet is that vet for Amen Thompson that's showing him how to be an NBA player off the court, but I know that these guys put a lot of work into the gym. They put a lot of work on the court together in the offseason. So having Fred VanVleet, a veteran point guard in this league, an all-star point guard in this league, and also an NBA champion in this league, that's great for Amen Thompson to be the backup point guard to that type of basketball player. And then just all the other guys around him. I think he has players around him that really complements his style of play. All the other athletic wings on the team, guys like Jalen Green. They just got another sharpshooter in Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore. I think all of these guys fit really well around the way that Amen Thompson plays the game of basketball. So that right there, I think that's going to play a huge role into taking Amen Thompson to the next level. Another thing that I love about Amen Thompson is his versatility, and we saw this on full display last year for the Houston Rockets. We've seen Amen Thompson getting utilized in so many different ways, and one thing that I think was so impressive about his rookie season, we look at Amen Thompson throughout that season, his role was constantly changing, and not only was his role constantly changing, but his minutes was constantly changing as well. Sometimes he was a starter and playing 30 plus minutes per night. Sometimes he was coming off the bench and he might play 23 or less minutes, but no matter what, whether he was playing 30 minutes, whether he was playing 20 minutes, he was still able to be ultra effective. So I love that about Amen Thompson, and that says a lot about a basketball player when they can buy into different roles, and especially when we're able to see that throughout the season. So I was very impressed by that. So his mindset and his ability to be okay with different roles on the team, I think that shows that he's a patient player, and that he really wants to win, and he also really wants to be good at whatever role he is playing in. And then we just look at how he was being utilized different ways on the basketball court. You can use Amen Thompson as a point guard. Tremendous basketball IQ. He can run the floor. He can run your offense, and then also he can play the quote-unquote de facto big. He can be your center on the offensive offensive and the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we saw when Alperen Sengun went down and the Houston Rockets were experiment at that 5 spot, because at the time they weren't the deepest at the 5 spot, but just having Amen Thompson, have him hanging around in that dunker spot, because he's so athletic, it's easy for him to dunk the basketball. Having him set screens. Now, I think that was very fun watching him do that last year. You watch, because Amen Thompson, he's really good at rolling to the rim, finishing around the rim, but it gets a little bit deeper than that because he's not really a center. He's really a point guard. So you get him that ball in the short roll, and now you have your point guard who's acting as a center, coming off on that short roll, making decisions whether to put the basketball on the floor and attack, whether to make a play. So many different things that the Houston Rockets were able to do out of that. So I love the versatility of Amen Thompson. He can do so many different things. He can play so many different roles, and that was just in his rookie season as he's learning on the fly and as his role was changing on the fly. So with that being said, his versatility, the next thing that we're going to talk about, these two things really go hand in hand. The versatility also complements his athleticism and his size. With him being 6'7", and I heard, I don't know. Now this was said by Amen Thompson. I forgot what he said. He was being I forgot where I read this at, but he was being interviewed, and he said that a lot of people has been telling him that he looks taller. He said he feels taller, and he thinks now that he might be 6'8", but they still have him listed at 6'7". So I'm gonna say 6'7". He's 6'7", 200 plus pounds, and he just has a terrific NBA body, and then his athleticism is off the charts. If I'm being totally honest, outside of LeBron James, because LeBron is just a freak of nature, never seen anything like LeBron. I think Amen Thompson might be the most athletic player in the league when you factor in explosiveness, when you factor in the ability to jump, when you factor in speed, when you factor in quickness. I don't know if there's too many players that's more athletic than Amen Thompson. So his athleticism, just the fact that he's that tall, he's that fast, he's that big, and he's that much stronger than a lot of the competition, is going to allow him to dominate in the NBA for a very long time. So so far we have the Houston Rockets. They have a great situation. Amen Thompson is a great situation, great personnel, great head coach, great veteran to learn from in Fred VanVleet. He's a very versatile player that can take on any role. He can be effective no matter how many minutes he's playing per game, but he's a starter coming off the bench. And then also he's supremely athletic. And to go along with that athleticism, he's supremely skilled. Now, something that athletic players go through when they're as athletic, when you're as athletic as Amen Thompson, when you're as athletic as a John Morant, or when you're athletic as Russell Westbrook, that's all they focus on is the athleticism. But I just want you to guys, for all the non-Houston Rockets fans, I'm pretty sure I make a lot of videos on the Rockets. These guys know how good their players are and their star talent is, but you go watch Amen Thompson, he is so much more than athleticism. His ball handle is really good, and what I love about his ball handle is that he has it. He knows how to use it with his athleticism. We talked about that speed and that quickness. One thing that Amen Thompson is really good at, he's very twitchy. He knows how to stop, he knows how to go, and he knows how to use that quickness and that speed with his great ball handle to his to his best ability. And that's one of my favorite things about the Houston Rockets and Amen Thompson. Whenever he gets the basketball in his hands, whether it's in transition, whether it's in half court, he is so good. His handle is so good paired with that athleticism. Just a lot of beautiful things happen. Like, it's just so pleasing to watch Amen Thompson go out and make plays, whether it's scoring or passing the basketball. And then another thing we got to talk about, his basketball IQ. We kind of touched on this earlier. His basketball IQ is off the charts. And if you watch the Thompson twins, now I didn't really get hip to them into the NBA draft, but go just look at a bunch of their interviews. Amen and Asar Thompson, these guys just love the game of basketball. They can't get enough of it. And I'm not just talking about just like working on their game and getting better, but just they know they know a lot of stuff about the history of the NBA, and I believe I'm either the same age as them or just like a year older than them. But they were answering questions about the history of the NBA that I had. I couldn't. It was a lot of them questions that I couldn't answer. So these guys just eat, breathe, and sleep basketball. Like, they love the game of basketball. So you factor all of these things in. I think Amen Thompson, I think he has superstar written all over him. He's incredibly humble. He seems very patient. He seems like a really team player. And then when you want something, nothing's gonna stop you from getting it. And I see that in Amen Thompson. So I definitely think he can be a superstar in this league one day. I think he's in a terrific situation for that to happen. You guys let me know what you think down in the comment section. If Amen Thompson has that superstar potential, if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.